shit, yeah, they bread stank. Walk up in the club, dripping like I'm fresh paint. I can see through the facade like an...
What's going on, fight fans? Welcome back to Mad Matty Fight Talk. It's another great day when you love MMA. Mad Matty once again with Crazy Chris. And we got some, I wouldn't say big fight news, but some interesting things going on in the MMA slash boxing realm of things. Jake Paul just recently fought Anderson Silva October 29th, where he defeated him via unanimous decision. Or was it unanimous?
Yeah, it was a unanimous decision.
So 8-round fight, beat one of the he's probably the greatest combat sports fighter of all time in Anderson Silva, although he is 47 years old. Jake Paul, 25, gets the job done, moves to 6-0, has 4 KOs under his belt. First of all, what did you think of the fight? We don't need to break it down, but did you think that was a good matchup? Because most of what I was hearing before this, a lot of hate towards Jake Paul. Oh, he still hasn't fought a real boxer. Everybody was giving Anderson Silva a bunch of credit. Like, okay, if he gets past Anderson Silva, this guy's the real deal. He gets past Anderson Silva, and motherfuckers are still talking shit. So I'm curious to see a different perspective on this of what you think.
Well, I want to answer your first question on what I thought of the fight. I thought the fight was great for Jake Paul. He did a wonderful job. He knocked down Anderson in the 8th round with hands. I mean, the dude hits like a truck. Great fight. He's shown a couple of new things, a couple of new skills. I like he constantly goes to the body. He looks down, goes up, looks down, goes up. It keeps people guessing in boxing. So he has a good coach. He's going through the ropes. He's getting real training. Now, to answer your other question is, I don't like him. Like, if I look at the people that he's fought, the common name in all of that is retired. Retired NBA player, retired MMA, retired MMA, retired MMA. I don't like that he constantly fights retired 40-year-olds. Like, that to me is just a turnoff. You're 25.
They're transitioning because the MMA fighters aren't retired. Well,
actually, to what?
They're transitioning to boxing. None of those guys said that they were retiring. You have to be real about that.
Nate Robinson's a retired NBA player that fought him just for a paycheck.
Period. I don't really count that. That was kind of a celebrity fight to me. So yeah, him, obviously he was retired, and he's not 40. He's not even close to 40.
Okay, let's go to Ben Askren. He came in looking like a bag of milk. I mean, what more do I need to say? He's 40 years old. He had 2 hip replacements. The dude's washed up. Tyron Woodley on a 7-fight losing streak and fights Jake Paul twice and gets knocked out. Also over 40 years old. Anderson Silva broke his leg in half, came back, had a horrible end of his career, lost to Uriah Hall by tearing his ACL, and then goes to fight Jake Paul. I'm not impressed. I'm just not impressed with the caliber of where he says he is to what he's trying to fight.
Well, listen, for me, the Nate Robinson fight, I mean, way mismatched for Nate Robinson.
We all got to agree on that was
okay. Fuck that one. Ben Askren, now you're stepping into a combat world champion. And now listen, a lot of these guys in the fighting world that he's facing are ex-champions, regardless of how they fight. Ben Askren signed the paperwork just like Jake Paul did, knocked out Ben Askren. I kind of expected that. I didn't think that a grappling world champion wrestler like fucking Ben Askren was going to lay the hands on anybody. So that one, whatever. Tyron Woodley is a knockout artist with heavy hands. Not really what I would consider a boxer, but if you go back to the first fight, that was a good fight. That could have went either way. Jake got cracked hard from Tyron, and you got to give Tyron Woodley credit. You can't just talk about this guy like he's some fucking scrub. He had a rough end of his career in the MMA, but he was also taking on elite competition. It's not like he was fighting nobodies. So Woodley, not really what I consider a big boxer, but a heavy-handed fighter.
I think my point here is that they're all 40 years old or older. That's my point. I'm not discrediting. Ben Askren was a Bellator champion, a ONE FC champion. Tyron Woodley, ex-UFC champion. Anderson Silva, ex-UFC champion. But again, the common theme is ex-champion, 40 years old, retired MMA.
Now,
there's a lot of negatives on that billboard. When I'm weighing out the scales, I just look at it and I'm thinking he has a great management team. They know how to make money. They know how to put him up and build a record.
I will say that you're right as far as who he picks is very strategic. Jake Paul's not a stupid person, and that's where a big misconception comes in. You guys got to understand, these motherfuckers are smart. This guy is a 25-year-old multimillionaire making more money than any boxer that is 6-0 right now. He has been in bigger platforms.
I'm not disagreeing.
I know. I'm just saying for the audience who probably doesn't know and just likes, his fights are rigged. His fights are not rigged. I don't believe that you could pay somebody like Anderson Silva, a Tyron Woodley. People have fought their whole lives to become world champions. You're not going to take a dive. I don't give a fuck how old these guys are. Anderson Silva especially would never take money to go and lose to somebody like Jake Paul. I could never see that happening.
No, you're right. I don't think his fights are rigged. I think they're strategically picked. I think the coaching staff and his management staff are extremely smart. They know how to cut deals. They know that, okay, Showtime's a good platform. The Zone's a good platform. We're going to put this on here and this on here.
Jake's doing some smart business as far as, one, he has his own promotion. Two,
look,
hold on. One, he has his own promotion. Two, he's exploiting something that is very, very lucrative. He's taking big time MMA fighters that are well known, and he's making them do something that he's been training, 4 years in now. So he is on a professional level of boxing at this point. 4 years of him just fluidly boxing. These guys aren't fluid boxers. Anderson is very close to a real boxer, but as far as Woodley isn't a pure boxer. That guy's mainly a ground and pound wrestler. So he's taking these MMA fighters who are, have to train all these different arts and just exploiting them in boxing. It's fucking genius, really, at the end of the day. That's why people are mad, because they know that that's what's going on and you can't stop him. MMA fighters to me are just so like, they got to prove a fucking point.
But I don't want, what I don't like is this is a guy who wants to fight Canelo, right? And it's like, you can't ask for a fight with Canelo when you haven't boxed a boxer and you haven't even fought anybody close to your age. Like, let's be real. If he went in there and he put hands on Tommy Fury, for instance, Tyson's little brother, and if he beat Tommy, I would give him respect on a boxing level. I would say, you're a real boxer. You outboxed a actual boxer. When you go in there and you're 25 and you've been training, you have millions, you've been training with world-class people, you have the nutrition checked off, doctors checked off, everything is scientifically on your side, medically on your side. You have everything dialed in with your management team. He's a smart kid. I cannot say that enough, how smart he is. But if you want respect from the boxing community, go outbox some boxers.
Listen, all right, Tommy Fury, will use him. That's actually a good example of why I think Jake Paul deserves more credit than what he's getting. Boxers are known for padding their records and fighting fucking anybody's. They'll get up to 15-0. Oh my God, this guy's undefeated. Tommy Fury is 8-0 right now. His combined opponents' records for 8 opponents is 223-3. He's fought some people who have records like 10, 1-11-3. That's a person's record that he fought. A dude who was 2-40. Another dude was 0-24. I think if Tommy Fury, why he ducked Jake Paul is what I really think happened. He would get knocked the fuck out from somebody like Jake Paul. Jake Paul is becoming a serious problem for, I don't want to say boxers, because I haven't seen him face a real boxer, but as far as like his level of competition, his combined opponents, if we're counting their MMA records, because these are professional athletes, 73-22-1. That's a lot more of a difficult path than somebody like Tommy Fury.
I also want to bring up that he's never taken a drug test. Not one time. We've never had a clean urine sample from the kid. And I'm not saying that he is on any type of testosterone boosters, but I've seen it in the gyms, and I've seen people go from nobodies to somebody's on test boosters. And in the way he swings hard as he does, but he's taking big breaths in between rounds, it's almost like because I know that from people who use testosterone, their cardio's there. It's just they're huffing and puffing by the end of the workouts, but they're still strong as a bull. And that's what I don't want to accuse the kid, but I do want to say that
is he on some sort of PEDs? Probably. I was saying, from what I know, especially from playing football, most of the motherfuckers who are professional athletes are on something. You don't have to be on elite level steroids. You could be on the very low level. You're taking something. He probably is on something.
I think he's on test boosters, to be honest with you. That's my guess. I don't think he's on anything super crazy. I don't think he's putting a needle in his ass, but I do think he's on one of those natural test boosters you can buy online.
Now listen, Anderson Silva got caught doing the same shit. John Jones got caught doing the same shit. These guys are all doing it. I think most of the fighters, I don't want to say all of them, but I'd say at least 95% of anybody who's a professional athlete, it's a lot of wear and tear on your body. It's a lot of training. There's a lot of recovery you need. So these people are all on something. Now,
let me just lay it down really where again, I think he had a great performance against Anderson Silva, dropping him with such a short left hook, but also while Anderson was on the back pedal. So it kind of caught him off guard, but still knocking him down. And you could hear Anderson. I mean, look at Anderson's face. There's no faking getting beat up like that. He's not going to take a cut just so somebody can punch him in his face as hard as he can. The kid has some serious skill. He has some serious talent. Now, I would like to see him put that towards a boxer. I want to see him box a boxer who's within the same age. I don't want him to fight any more 40-year-olds, anybody who's a retired MMA fighter. Like the guy's calling out Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz
has amazing hands, and he's also a very big draw. But listen, hold on.
He's a big draw.
Getting to the Anderson Silva fight, people discredit this guy. They look at his age and they think, oh, this guy's fucking old. This guy doesn't really take a lot of punishment in MMA fights.
He's 47 years old.
Bro, I don't give a fuck. He beat a world champion boxer after having a whole MMA career. That speaks a lot for your skill level.
He was there when they signed the Declaration of Independence. Are you kidding me? For a fighter, this guy should be retired. He's going to get brain damage. He's only going to hurt himself some more. The guy does not belong fighting in a ring with anybody outside of his age bracket. Point blank, period.
Anderson Silva is one of the greatest strikers and defensive fighters of all time in all aspects of combat sports. So for me, hold on, I'm not done talking. For me, when I hate on Jake Paul a lot, but to me, in my mind, I really said, if this guy gets past somebody like Anderson, who I know can box, who has a high skill level, I'm not gonna continue to hate. He already knocked Tyron Woodley completely unconscious. I don't really care what age you are. These guys are professional athletes. That doesn't just leave your body. Roy Jones Jr. is still fighting people. So I'm just saying, like,
Roy Jones Jr. got knocked out of the ring unconscious.
They're still fighting though. It doesn't look, if you're signing papers and the athletic commission's letting you fight, they're sanctioning it. They're saying that you're okay to fight.
I don't care who sanctions it. I don't give a fuck. What my point is you don't go in and fight basically a 50-year-old man who broke his leg in half 5 years ago or 7 years ago. Who look at the Chavez Jr. fight. His movement, he'd come in on Jake Paul with that movement and then stop, not throw a hand. When he did that to Chavez, it was boom, 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 boom. And it's all going away, bro. Man. He's getting older. His reaction timing is not as much.
What is this? The feel bad business? Jake Paul doesn't give a fuck. He offered them the fight. They took it. If I'm Jake Paul, I'm doing the same shit. You dumbass 40-year-old MMA fighters want to keep boxing. Come over to boxing. I'm never going to do an MMA fight and keep letting me knock you guys out.
On a business standpoint, you're absolutely correct. I'm saying if he wants respect from actual boxers like Canelo, Floyd Mayweather Jr., hell, Floyd Mayweather Sr., any of those guys, Mike Tyson, if he wants actual respect from these guys, he has to start boxing boxers. That's all I'm saying. Because the guys like Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather Jr., all these guys, you hear them in their interviews. Go box a boxer and then impress me, and then we'll see whether you're skilled or not. They're not impressed by him fighting fucking retired MMA fighters that are in their fucking 40s.
That's great. I don't really care what Floyd Mayweather is the greatest boxer of all time to me, besides Mike Tyson. But I don't really care what Floyd Mayweather's saying when he's going into fucking Japan and beating up nobodies for exhibition fights. At this point, he's doing the same shit.
He's beating up guys who are younger than him on winning records, on winning streaks. Period.
Yeah, look. I'm not the matchmaker here, but as far as possible next opponents go for Jake, I see somebody like Tommy Fury would probably be a good one. I really wanted to see the Hasim Rahman Jr. fight. That would have been.
Rahman Jr. would be a fantastic fucking fight.
He doesn't have a big name. He can't sell a fight, and he can't stick to a fucking contract. So that's really where the problem comes in.
The contract problem that he put there was they wanted him to cut down to 185 and not go back above 200. You cannot do that when you're walking around at 225. And he knew that, and he told them that, and that's why they canceled the fucking fight. So Jake Paul's, again, strategically, absolutely, he's doing a fantastic job. His management team's on board. They're building a winning record. They're building him up, and they're branding his name correctly. But let's not say that I don't want to go into these details, because the details are what makes the pie, right? If I say I'm throwing in some sugar and salt and this and flour and milk and all this, that creates everything. So when we're saying box this guy who doesn't have a name, be a great opponent, this and that, but then you tell him in the contract you can't go above a certain weight, you're holding that guy back.
The reason they were doing that is because Jake Paul wasn't about to put on a bunch of weight. It was a last-second fight. It was really just a last-second Hail Mary, which it just didn't work out. So as far Jake isn't going to fight over 190 realistically. So like for his actual boxing weight classes, he'd either have to pick between light heavyweight, which is 175 in boxing, or cruiserweight, which is 200. If I'm him, I'm cutting down to light heavyweight. I'm not taking a cruiserweight fight because your hot streak's going to end real. If we're looking at real boxers and you look at the top 10 of cruiserweight and light heavyweight, those guys are no fucking joke. Light heavyweight, you're looking at, Bivol, Canelo, Triple G, guys like that.
Caleb Plant. So, you know what I mean?
Caleb Plant's a little bit, he's lighter than that. I think Canelo moved up to light heavyweight to fight Bivol. But yeah, he's looking at some serious competition on guys who are extremely skilled, but he's 6-0. He doesn't need to be. Look, this is how big of a name he has already, is that we're talking about those kind of fights when realistically he wouldn't be fighting people that are on that level. If I'm him, if I'm Jake Paul, I just beat Anderson Silva, Nate Diaz just left the UFC. I'm exploiting that. I'm asking for him, Tommy Fury, because that still I think would be a big fight, even though I think Tommy Fury is a fucking bum. Uriah Hall called out fucking Jake Paul, which I think that's a terrible matchup. And then you got a really big name and Conor McGregor. That would be probably the biggest and most challenging fight of his career because Conor can actually box. He has
Conor
great
can actually
hands.
box, and if they did it at 175, it would be a great matchup. Again, my perspective, if he wants to earn my respect, he boxes a boxer and beats him. I don't give a fuck if it's Tommy Fury or a fucking guy who's 0-1. I don't care at this point. Box somebody who's a traditional boxer. Beat them. Let them be around your age, 24, 23, 28, under 30 years old. And then I'll give you your credit. Now, I want to give him credit because fucking kid's doing great as a promoter. He's doing great lining up a winning streak and beating up these old guys with names, and he's using that as a draw. I completely understand. But when you're talking about a fighter respecting another fighter, boxers are not going to fucking respect this guy. Hell, the MMA community still doesn't respect this guy. You know what I'm saying? And that's just my point of view. He can fight whoever the fuck he wants, but you keep fighting 40-year-old MMA retired guys. You fight a guy like Nate Diaz, I'm not going to be like, whoa, this guy's the next fucking Muhammad Ali. It's not happening, bro. You have to go out there and beat the best of the best in your sport. Stop beating the guys up who are retired champions in our sport. Go to your fucking sport, which is boxing, that you always talk about as my sport, and go fucking box a goddamn boxer. That's what I want to see.
Dude, people are ridiculous. Like, Jake Paul has a huge name. This is the problem that he's running into, is that he's 6-0, has a massive name. He is going to be some sort of a main event. So he needs somebody on that kind of caliber. He's been he can't go and fight a boxer that's 24 years old who's 2-0. That's not going to happen. That really is not going to happen. He's going to have to fight somebody who's either known, or he's going to have to keep taking these weird fights to keep getting the experience, because he's not on a level where he could take on somebody who's like 12-0, who's like in the top 10 of any boxing weight class. So realistically, he's doing the smartest thing possible. Now, what I think is actually going to happen here is he's going to be taking on Nate Diaz next. I really think that's going to be the fight that ends up being created, because Nate Diaz already said something weird along the lines of, I'm going to show these guys how to do it in boxing. And that goes right into that exploited mentality of fucking MMA fighters, where they think they're just, look, I get it. You go in there with 4-ounce gloves, you're locked in a cage, you take kicks, knees, all that shit. There's a different style of when it's just boxing. Now, Nate is a really good boxer, so that would be interesting. And he's a lot younger. So
let me explain to you this, all right? Now, I used to train at a gym called AP Boxing. Anthony Pagan. He has a lot of Golden Glove boxers that box there, okay? This kid, I was 20 years old. They brought in a 14-year-old Golden Glove boxer to spar with me, and he beat the fucking brakes off of me. I'm talking bloody nose, black eye. I fucking went home beat up. I'm not kidding, man. This guy does not understand the different levels of boxers. And if he wants to build a career off of beating retired MMA fighters or old fucking dogs, that's fine. I'm not going to shit on that. Go get your money. Do you, boo-boo? I don't care. But if you want to earn some respect, you go in there and you box a fucking boxer. Hell, if he boxed Triple G in one, I would give him respect, even though he's over 40 years old.
There's a lot of people exactly like, I used to be just like you. Fuck this guy. Fuck him. He's never getting my respect. That's fine. Jake doesn't need to fight a boxer. And if I were him, I wouldn't even fight any fucking real boxer until I'm like 12-0. I would keep padding my record. You think some fucking somebody his age who's 5-0, never been on a big platform, is gonna walk into the main event at fucking Madison Square Garden and not freeze up? They're not gonna fucking be on fire and doing all this shit. Jake's been there. He's done that. He's the main event in every fight since he was fucking 1-0, since his amateur days. You have to take all of that into account. These guys.
I agree. I agree with you. No, I agree with you. You need we need to take in what he is now. He's now a big draw. He's a big name. He's going to be the main event. He has his own fucking promotion. I understand that, but you can still get a guy who's 8-0 and Tommy Fury. Why can't we put that?
That's a great fight, and it's a great fight for Jake Paul. I think Fury is probably scared of the power of Jake Paul and of losing to him.
If he beat a guy like Tommy Fury, I would shut the fuck up because I already like and I want everybody to know this. I like Jake Paul. I actually enjoy watching him fight. I see the strategic punches and boxing maneuvers that he does and the way he rolls out, hits the body, comes up. I love all of it. I love all of it. He's really good at what he does. But I want to respect the guy. I'm asking him to let me respect you. Please go fight a guy like Tommy Fury. Somebody on that caliber who is willing to be in the main event, who is 8-0, who's on the upcome just like yourself. And then I can give you the respect, brother. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's not smart. I'm not saying he's not being strategic. We already agreed. Great management team. Great way to put the puzzles together for Jake Paul. Build a name, build a brand. But I want to see him box a true boxer.
Oh, my God. Look, shout out Impulsive. I love Jake Paul. I love his personality. I think that guy's fucking hilarious. I don't give a fuck who he fights next. I said, if you beat Anderson, you earn my respect, and I'm a man of my fucking word. I thought that was a great fight. He was getting pressured. He was getting put in bad positions, and he fought his way out. He showed me what I needed to see. I don't give a fuck if Anderson's 47 years old. He's still one of the greatest fighters on the planet Earth. He'll be fighting till the day he dies. I don't care how old that guy is. His skill level is extremely high. Now, is he the same speed and all that shit? Probably not. But
who do you think is the next lineup for Jake Paul then? Who do you think
Nate Diaz is the next fight for Jake Paul? And if I'm Jake Paul, I would try to use this fight to cut down because he doesn't I don't know how hard it is for him to drop down past 190, but it would benefit him in the boxing world if he could cut some of that weight and test himself at a lower weight class. I would fight Nate at 185. I would try to get it at 185 to 5 pounds, practice cutting your fucking weight so you can actually move yourself into one of these divisions where you'll have success. Because right now you're 6-0. You've already knocked Tyron Woodley the fuck out. It's like his highlight reel knockouts. I just want to see this guy keep improving and proving people wrong. Because so far, he's done that. Now, I don't know who he's actually going to pick next. I don't know if he wants to fight Tommy Fury because it sounds like Fury doesn't really want to fight him, which is kind of crazy. And what people really better pray doesn't happen is that he takes Uriah Hall because he is going to knock Uriah Hall the fuck out. Uriah struggled a lot with Le'Veon Bell, who's a former NFL running back. So for Uriah Hall to be trying to call out Jake Paul, to me, that's kind of crazy.
First of all, I watched that fight, and I took a shit in between because of how fucking boring that fight was. Uriah Hall walked forward and threw punches like this. Like, get the fuck out of here. You're not fighting Jake Paul. You're not at payday.
Like, Tyron Woodley's a lot better of a boxer than I think Uriah Hall is. So, if Tyron Woodley's getting knocked out, Uriah Hall's getting
that fight before he got knocked out was extremely competitive. And the first fight was extremely competitive as well. So, I mean, out of everybody, and no offense to Anderson Silva, but Tyron Woodley did the best, even though he got knocked out in the second fight.
Anderson did pretty good. He got dropped, but I mean, he is a lot older. But
you got for me, bro. I go street. You know, once they lose the fight, I got to look at the faces. And he lost the fight, plus his face was fucked up, and Jake Paul didn't have one scratch on him. That was it.
And here's another actual big opponent that I think would be very interesting, since this is where it benefits Jake, is because it's not boxing. It's a freak show. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. And somebody who was calling his name. And if I'm Jake, I would definitely take this fight. Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate's a very good kickboxer. But as far as boxing goes, with his little feminine walking ass, I think Jake Paul would put a beating on that little peanut head.
If he beat Andrew Tate, who's a multiple-time kickboxing champion, and with the word boxing in there, I would give him the respect he deserves because
I would definitely take that fight because both of these guys, you got to think about what worlds they come from. YouTube, boxing, fighting, whatever. It's two big platforms.
But the thing about it
is trend extremely.
He wants to fight Logan, and Logan wants to fight him, and Logan was asking to fight him in a UFC fight in an MMA bout.
That would be really fucked up for Andrew. Andrew Tate's losing either way. I don't know why he thinks he can beat Logan in a UFC fight or maybe kickboxing. I probably would give it to Tate, but anything else, just boxing or MMA especially, Logan would fuck him up because Logan can grapple with guys like Paulo Costa. He would be dumping Tate on his head relentlessly.
Well, I think that's a good point. I think that's a good fight, though. I'd like to see, if Jake fights Nate Diaz, I'm not buying that fucking pay-per-view because I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to go to DraftKings.com. Shout out to my boys at the draft. And I'm going to throw a bunch of money on Jake Paul. I'm going to fucking get a bag at the end of the night.
Shout out to TikTok because I don't ever buy any of these fucking freak show fights. I go to the China platform who doesn't shut down any live streams and I watch that shit for fucking free. So do something about it. You can't do shit. That's what I thought. Shout out to TikTok. All you guys posting that shit for free. I ain't ever wasting my money on this shit. Who the fuck, like realistically, bro, if you get a Canelo fight or something, I'll pay for that. But as far as that goes, until they shut down the TikTok live streams, because you can't, because it's built by China, I'm going to keep watching it for free. I'm never paying for that shit. But regardless, at the end of the day, Jake earned my respect. He still has to prove something to Crazy Chris, but I think Nate Diaz is definitely going to be next for this guy.
It's not far out there. I'd like to see him fight Tommy, but I agree with you. I think Nate's on the menu for him next, and I think his management team's already working.
Nate was in the crowd when he fought Anderson. He was talking about shit, goes backstage, slaps the fuck out of somebody from Jake Paul's crew. The storyline's already there. I mean, I just see it happening. It just depends.
I could picture it happening too. It's not far-fetched. It could happen soon. Yeah, right. Jake said he wants to fight maybe early next year or in the summer. He actually said he wants to fight in the summer because there's no sports going on, which is also that you see how this 25-year-old kid's mind works. Hey, no events going on in the summer. I'll only have to compete with UFC. If I bring a name in, it's a bag. So, I mean, I love him. I respect him. And I respect the Paul brothers. Great businessmen, great strategy, great team behind them. But as a competitor, I'd like to see him fight an actual boxer. That's all for me.
All right. Well, hit me in the comments, guys. Let us know who you guys think Jake Paul should fight next. What did you guys think about his performance against Anderson Silva? Don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified when we drop more content. And we will see you guys on the next one.
Haters talking shit, yeah, they breath stank. Walk up in the club dripping like I'm fresh paint. I can see through the facade like an